The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Spokane, Washington, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33843. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just on the front bumper face passenger side, you'll find your PA speaker electronic siren. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find dual air horns. On the side bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up onto the top of the bumper extension on the passenger side, you'll find an 1.5-inch swivel discharge. Moving just inward of that location in the center, you'll find a hose tray housing dry deck material and also a Velcro tie-down. Let's move up onto the cab itself, where you'll find on the outside edge a marker turn indicator light. Inside of that, you'll find the headlight structure housing the low and high beam headlights. In the very center, you'll find a mechanical siren just below the Pierce logo. And on the side, you'll find a side-facing camera. This is on the driver's side. Also on the front face, you'll find an emergency warning light bar. Let's move up to the top of the brow area, where you'll find 5 running lights or clearance lights across the top. Moving just outside of that location on an angle, you'll find 2 forward-facing floodlights. As we move up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar located on the center. With inside the light bar, you'll find your Opticom system. Let's take a couple close-ups of the items that we just talked about, first starting with that front discharge. It is foam and water capable. As we move just to the inside location, you'll find that hose tray housing the dry deck material for the bottom, and then also Velcro straps. Moving now to the side, you'll find your Spokane Fire Department logo. As we move now to the notched area of the apparatus where the pump panel is located, you'll find 2 2.5-inch discharges. You'll also find a warning label here regarding pressure hazard, that those caps may be under pressure. Be cautious while opening it or removing them. Located in the center behind the Pierce logo American flag eagle, large diameter pump intake. As we move to the upper right-hand side of the image, you'll find your auxiliary foam inlet and auxiliary foam. Moving to the right, you'll find a warning label here regarding not mixing different foam brands or consistencies for failure. Just beneath that, you'll find an additional warning label here regarding riding on or climbing on the side of your apparatus. Down at the lower section, you'll find a tank fill inlet, and then moving further right, you'll find your auxiliary 2.5-inch female tank inlet. Moving down at the very bottom, you'll find all your associated and color-coded drains, and just in front of that area on the diamond plate, you'll find this step does have the ability to flip outward to create a larger step area. Here's some close-ups of those items that we just talked about. Moving now to the other side, this is a direct tank fill down at the lower section, and also your driver's side auxiliary inlet. Moving up to the top, your foam functions for foam inlet, strainer, and foam drain. As we move now to the cab itself, both doors on each side you'll find style latch with locks, in addition with a grab handle at all points of entry. As we move down just above the notch, you'll find an emergency warning light side facing. Moving upward from that location, you'll find an LED tank water indicator indicating the level of water in your water tank. Moving up to the very top, you'll find a cab side facing scene light. And then as we move down now to the notched area, just above that is where your cross lays are located. There are the areas behind the netting, and then further up behind the diamond plate. We'll go over those next. First, let's start down at the bottom with the warning label here regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those hoses coming off from that location, there's the possibility of entanglement. There are 2 pre-connected lines down at the bottom. They're clearly identified, and also located in the center is the release mechanism for the speed load, so it can be removed and moved to the ground. Just up behind the diamond plate panel, you're going to find a divider locating the top from the bottom area. As we move to the body itself, you'll find 2 emergency warning lights. Located at the rear, you'll also find a side-facing floodlight. Let's continue now into the pump panel area, and it's going to be directly behind the very first compartment. As we roll this compartment door up, we'll cover those items. Let's start at the very top of the pump panel area. First, if you've engaged your pump properly, you'll find the OK to pump light indicator on. As we move to the left, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Moving to the right, just to identify the items, this is an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel will allow you to dampen the sound. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find the pump overheat indicator. It is automatic. And then moving to the right, you'll find a module indicating the amount of foam in foam tank A. Into the gray module, you'll find your master intake gauge. This is your pump intake. And to the right, you'll find your master discharge gauge. Between the two of those gauges, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged. Let's move to the right now to the indicator for your PCM fault. It's an amber indicator if illuminating, and just beneath that, you'll find the pump overheat, also being a amber illuminating. As we move up to the center, you'll find an audible alarm. Once again, that can be dampened by the outer edge of that bezel. Let's go back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI test pressures. On the left, you'll find the associated GPM, and on the right, you'll find the RPMs associated with that test pressure. Your vehicle does have a governed speed of 2,100 RPMs. Let's move down from this location, talk a little bit about some of the discharges. You can see they're clearly color-coded and also labeled. They do have indications here whether they can accept foam in those discharges also. Let's move to the right. This is your Pierce pressure throttle governor. In the upper left, you'll find the check engine light illuminating yellow if on. In the center, you'll find a digital readout for the RPMs. And to the right, you'll find a stop engine. If illuminated, it would be red. Let's move down to the next area where you'll find all of your engine diagnostic information. There are LED lights indicating those levels. And on the very far right, on the gauge itself, you'll see the one labeled pump. That is a pump temperature. Moving down, you'll find in the blue module your water tank level indicator. It is a digital readout. And to the right, you'll find the red silence button. This allows you to silence any alarms that would be associated with your pressure throttle governor. Just beneath that, you'll find the orange menu button, allowing you to scroll through the various menu functions. There are two operations of mode here, pressure control or RPM or throttle control. Those are the two modes. How you'd gain access to that is through the throttle control mode, the blue button. Located directly in the center will be your digital readout regarding information, and then just beneath that you'll find a green LED indicator, throttle ready. Moving to the right, you'll find a green preset button, which will allow you to choose presets prior to operating the throttle positions. Just beneath that, you'll find your throttle, right to increase the throttle, left to decrease, push in the center for idle. You'll also find this placard on the side. Only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after they received proper training. On the opposite side, you're going to find these switches regarding your front flood light, driver's side scene light, passenger side scene light, and also an air horn button. Let's move back now just a little bit lower in this area where you'll find your Husky 12 foam system specifications. It's a placard. And moving to the right, you'll find the foam system module. Moving further to the right, you're going to find your primer for the fire pump. There are some instructions here that it should be at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. Moving up to the right, you'll find the recirculating line. It is a twist, not a pull. As we move back down to the left, you'll find your tank fill and also your tank to pump. You'll also find located just to the right 2 electronic valves. This is going to be clearly identified. These are the 2 electric valves on the passenger side of the vehicle. To the right, you'll find your passenger rear discharge and also deluge discharge. Moving just down lower, you'll find all your associated color-coded drains. These are twists, not pulls, and the lower sections are levers which move upward and downward. Let's move to the pan door on the right-hand side. Behind it, you'll find the yellow handle indicating the foam lever. Once this lever has moved for fill operations, you can restore it back to the horizontal position. Down to the next one is your manual pump shift override. It is a protected switch with an amber indicator. When plugged into shore power, your air compressor will activate if necessary to maintain brake pressure. As we move just in front of the rear axle, you'll find SCBA bottle storage location and also oxygen bottle storage location. Moving to the mid compartment, dry deck material, LED lighting, and adjustable shelving. Moving to the rear, you'll find your silver ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. It's the silver cap. As you flip the door latch downward, you'll expose the blue 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Moving to the rear compartment, you'll find a tray that does open, the release mechanisms on the right. You also have a memorial here for a firefighter.
Moving further to the rear section and lower, you'll find your wheel chocks located just underneath the rear wheel area. General view here of the rear of the apparatus. Let's cover some of the items within this area. First, starting down at the very bottom, passenger and driver's side, you'll find your brake, turn, and reverse lights. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find emergency warning lights. Inside on the driver's side, you'll find your shoreline inlet. And then just inside of that location, you'll find an auto eject air line. Let's move up from that location where you'll find your ladder rack on the left-hand side. It does have the ability to drop downward and also pull away from the vehicle. There are some warning labels on that for pinch hazard. Moving to the right, you'll find two cupped switches, and on the very far right, you'll find an additional cup switch. We'll go over those in just a moment. At the very top, you're going to find two 2.5-inch discharges, and in the center, you'll find your backup camera. Moving now upward, you're going to find emergency warning lights. Those are the red and yellow lights on the passenger and driver's side. As we move all the way to the passenger side, you'll find a pole light located on the upper right side. Let's take a look at some of the close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First, this is your shoreline inlet. Right next to it is your air auto eject plug. Moving up from that location, you'll find the hose bed lights and also the rear scene lights. Moving just to the left, you'll find the ladder mechanism. In the center, you're going to find two 2.5-inch discharges, also your backup camera and some warning labels. Down at the very bottom roll-up compartment, you'll find LED lighting, dry deck material, and adjustable shelving. To the right, you're going to find behind the pan door 24-foot extension ladder and a 14-foot roof. In the upper corner, you'll find a 10-foot folding ladder and also long tool storage. Let's move to the very far right-hand side. This is the passenger side rear flood light. It's the light directly over, which is the pole light. Quick view of the side of the apparatus, same configuration as the driver's side, but let's move up on top of the vehicle where you'll find it clearly delineated through the yellow marks. These are indicating firefighter walkway. As we move to the center section, you'll find your hose bed, and as we move now to the dunnage, you'll find first on the left-hand side, this is your Husky 12 hydraulic oil reservoir. There's a fill location on the top, a sight gauge on the side, and a shutoff at the bottom. Moving to the right, you'll find your top fill location for your foam tank. It is Class A foam, and also in the very top, you'll find a warning label here that you should not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for foam failure hazard. Moving to the right, you'll find your water tank fill location. This is the top fill for your water tank. Let's take a look at the top of the cab area. This is a non-walking surface. There are two labels indicating that. Do not walk on this area for slip hazard. Back to the dunnage area where you'll find your booster line or red line. You'll also find a reset switch for your electric motor. It is the red button down in the lower right. Moving upward, you'll find the ability to tension, increase or decrease the tension on the spool itself. And then at the very top, you'll find the location where you'd insert the tool for manual rewind. Located directly in the center, you'll find your master stream device. It does have an extended gun on it also. As we move further back, another shot here of the hydraulic reservoir. Moving now to the side, you'll find storage locations, dry deck material, and LED lighting on both passenger and driver side. Let's go ahead and move now to the side of the apparatus where we'll talk a little bit about some of the items within this area. First, starting in the rear compartment, you'll find that memorial located on the side of your apparatus. And as we open the doors, you'll find a pull-out tray. The release mechanism is on the right. Moving just forward to that location, you'll find SCBA bottle storage with retaining straps for 3 bottles in this area. Moving to the compartment over the rear wheel, you'll find your tool board. The D handle allows you to open. Once it's in the open position, it will lock. There is a release mechanism for that lock on the hinged side. Moving just forward of the rear axles where you'll find additional SCBA bottle storage, 2 bottles here, retaining straps, and also oxygen bottle storage. As we move forward to this location, you'll find additional shelving that are adjustable. In the upper left-hand corner in this compartment, you will find a shoreline outlet. It's a 20-amp outlet or receptacle. Let's move now to the notched area. First, we'll start with this warning label. This is a fall injury warning label. As we move forward, you're going to find your 2.5-inch strainer. Moving further forward, you're going to find the large diameter pump intake. Moving further to the right, you're going to find a switch. This is your reel rewind switch for your booster line. And moving down, we have an additional warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Be cautious when removing those caps that may be under pressure. We'll move to the upper right-hand side. This module is your cab lift. We'll go over that in just a few moments. As we move all the way down to the very far left-hand side, this is a twist. This is regarding your strainer to relieve pressure before removing the cap. And also will drain that area within that strainer. Moving to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch electrical valve. There is an override associated with that down in the lower portion. Just beneath that, you'll find your large diameter discharge. Same thing, an override down in the lower portion. As we move to the left, you'll find your 2.5-inch auxiliary female inlet, and then moving further to the right, you'll find a tank fill location. Across the very bottom, you'll find all your color-coded associated drains. You'll also find that step at the very bottom does have the ability to expand. Let's move back up to the top where you'll find your cab lift. You'll also find instructions here for raising the cab and lowering. The red is a selector for raise or lower, and the activate is on your left. Make sure all items are secured within the cab prior to these operations. Moving down, you'll find the reel rewind switch. And then as we move down, you'll find just a general view here, water strainer and water strainer drain. Down at the lower section, you'll find all your associated and color-coded drains. Let's move just slightly to the rear axle area where you'll find your exhaust. There is a warning label here regarding cautious because of the extreme hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. Let's move back to the cab. Same functions on the driver's side as you have on the passenger side. Here's that label regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures, and be cautious where you park the vehicle. Also in that same area, you'll find your front discharge. This is the drain for it. Let's move inside the cab now, where you'll find affixed to all entry panel door panels is where you're going to find these warning labels. You'll also find in the back of the crew cab the assist strap here for firefighters to gain entry and exiting the cab. Also in the very center, you'll find in the back of the engine, this is your access panel for gaining access to oil and also transmission dipsticks. Moving up to the top, you'll find on the passenger and driver's side, you do have lights inside those compartments. You have 2 seats across the rear and also 2 fold-down seats on the outer edges. Your David Clark head system located in the center. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the items that we just talked about. This is your David Clark headset system. As we move through the items in the cab, you'll find on the passenger and driver side these compartments. They do have LED lights and a switch in the front face. Moving just above those cabinets to the rear of the front seat, you'll find your battery charging system. To the opposite side, you'll find an additional outlet. When plugged into shore power, this will be activated. As we move now to the officer's area, on the door panel, you'll find affixed these warning labels. And once again, all points of entry will have those. You'll also find at the A-pillar the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. This vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system and airbag. There's information here. Do not block or mount anything within that area. At the floorboard level, you're going to find your electronic siren and mechanical siren foot pedals. And this is a close-up here of the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Let's move to the center area. I'll identify a few items here. We have a siren brake at the rear section. Just in front of that, you have a protected parking brake. And then as you move forward to that location, you'll also find a 12-volt access. This is barrel style or cigarette lighter. And then moving front, you'll find your vehicle data recorder. Also, you have a module here for your plug-in and also push-to-talk for your David Clark headset system. Let's look overhead in the cab. First, we'll start in the passenger and driver's side area. You have red or white push-on and off lights. Also, moving to the very center, you'll find this red light mounted in the center. This is do not move your apparatus if illuminating. You have a compartment or door open. You also have on the passenger and driver's side high-intensity reading lights for your map light. In the center area, you're also going to find your Panasonic. This is a weatherband AM/FM radio. In the center, you have your climate control and also a 12-volt access. This is a USB style. This is your heat and air conditioning and also defrost module. Let's now move to the driver's area where you'll find, once again, affixed to the door label for warning labels. You'll also find seatbelt information here regarding warning labels. And as we move down to about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find this placard. This is the Pierce manufactured placard for your department. It has your date of manufacture, the 5-digit job number. It also has gross vehicle weight ratings, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, and then all of the fluid capacities for component, fluid capacity, and fluid types. As we move now to about the floor level of the operator, you'll find your air horn and mechanical siren foot pedals. Moving up at about the knee height, you'll find your master battery switch. You'll also find diagnostic information ports. This is your engine and transmission ABS diagnostic ports, a display port, and also a tech module for maintenance. As we move to the left, you'll find ABS diagnostics and DPF regen switches. Moving just up from this location, you'll find your stationary OK to pump and roll. That's an indicator. Next to it, the water pump and foam system pumps, a future switch, and then also mirror heat and auto lube fault. That's also an indicator. Let's move just up from this location on the left-hand side of the steering column, where you're going to find your hazard or warning lights. Just down from that, you'll find the ignition and start switch. Inside of that location, you'll find the next module, which stands for EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will activate or deactivate all of your emergency warning lights. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find your headlight switch, and then inside of that, you'll find a panel switch, which allows you to brighten or dim panel lights within the driver's purview. Let's take a look at the dash, where you'll have on the left-hand side your transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temperature. On the right-hand side, you'll find your volts, fuel, front and rear air, speedometer, and tachometer located in the center. Diagnostic information displays above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right, where you're going to find your OK to engage the high idle switch and an indicator. As we move further to the right, you'll find in yellow, this is the diamond, pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Just to the right, you'll find an audible speaker. There is a volume control on the outer edge of that speaker, indicated where the arrow is at. You'll also find your Pierce Command Zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information. You do have an Allison transmission pad. It's digital readout. And as we move up, we'll talk a little bit about these rocker switches next, and we'll identify those in the next set. First, let's start with your engine brake on and off in the upper left. Settings for that engine brake for low, medium, and high. A diff lock activated, that's an indicator, off-road traction, and tire chains. Next side down, you'll find all of your window controls, also a load manager, and in red, you'll find your siren brake. This is for your mechanical siren in the center. This is your Allison transmission pad. It is a push-button style. Moving just to the right of that, you're going to find your mirror controls for the flat mirror and also the convex mirror. Over the operator's head, you'll find this placard, height 9 feet 11 inches, length 31 feet 1 inch, gross vehicle weight rating of 46,500 pounds. If you make any changes to your vehicle, either adding or subtracting, please update this placard so that it remains current. Let's take a look at the next set of switches. You have an emergency master, roof light, front warning light, and a side warning light. The next section down houses the lower rear warning and upper rear warning switches. Also controls your Opticom located in the center of your light bar, and also a white light switch. Moving to the right, you'll find a driver's side alley switch, front flood, your perimeter lights, passenger side alley, and then all of your scene lights below. Driver's side scene, rear scene, electronic siren, and also passenger scene switch. When these are activated, the outer edge will illuminate. Moving just to the right, you're going to find a pump pressure digital readout, and then you're also going to find a water tank level indicator and also a foam tank level indicator. Let's move now just to the right, where you'll find your siren control and PA speaker system. And then also to the right in the center, you're going to find your Pierce seatbelt information guide. Red indicating that someone is sitting in the seat although they are not belted. Green indicating that they're in the seat and properly belted. Let's take a quick look from the front section here. Spin around and take a look at the rear area. You can see the 2 seats in the rear and a fold down seat on the passenger side. The access panel here, once again behind the rear engine for oil and transmission daily checks. Once again, there is that do not move your apparatus. You may have a compartment or door open. Congratulations, Spokane, Washington, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33843. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.